guys. Okay. Welcome to Movie Emporium's spoiler-filled discussion slash any explains for Jurassic World Dominion, final capper in the Jurassic World series. It is directed by Colin Trevorrow once again. And as I always do, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button and join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, which you may or may not. But comment below on any video to watch, including this one. I debated whether to do a ending explained spoiler discussion for this movie because I know a lot of people are going to see this movie, but if you were just wanting to see why this movie is getting a lot of bad publicity that it's getting, I'm here to tell you why, to be fairly honest. As you know from my non-spoiler review, this is a very uninspired movie with a plot that has no semblance of what you want out of a Jurassic World movie. I think at this point, I'm just curious if Colin Trevorrow is punking us, to be fairly honest, if he is making light of the fact that we are excited for this movie, or at least some people. I didn't even put this in my top 10 because I knew this movie was going to be a travesty. And maybe that deters from my logic and mind, but after seeing the movie tonight as of this recording, I know a lot of people didn't like this movie. I could tell there was like no clapping when Alan Grant, Ellie Sadler, and of course Ian Malcolm came on. There was a little bit of clapping near the end when the T-Rex and the whatever the other dinosaur is, which I think is a version of the T-Rex or something like that, impaled that other dinosaur. And it's a movie that, as somebody I talked to said, it's very misleading because it is made to feel like a world where the dinosaurs have taken over and people have to survive. You look at that short, that Jurassic Park short that Colin Trevorrow did, which was actually pretty good. You look at that kind of sequence where we see kind of the evolution of the mosquito that was in the original movie. That was good as well. So what happened here? What made this movie so terrible? Well, I'm here to tell you that when you make your story into a locust are invading and become an invasive species, and you have another tech company, which is called Biosim, which is led by Lewis Dodgson, basically trying to create famine across the world, and you don't focus on what people really want to see, which is the survival of a world with dinosaurs that have now been let loose by the Dino Girl that is the clone of Maisie Lockwood is her name. You have a problem on your hands. I'm literally angry about this movie, to be fairly honest. It's a movie that really deserved not to be directed the way it's directed. I was actually quite calm when I did my non-spoiler review. As you can see, I was still not happy. But the more and more you think about this movie, the more and more you realize that this isn't even a Jurassic movie anymore. It's a creature feature. It's a horror film. It's the monsters in the Black Lagoon or something like that. This is a movie that is so ineptly directed and so ineptly written that it's almost an embarrassment, to be fairly honest. Locust is the main thrust. They, attack these young children. They are not eating the biosyn food, the biosyn crops. Lewis Dodgson basically kidnaps Maisie Lockwood's character and Beta, the raptor baby from Blue's character. And it's a movie just full of stupid logical decision making, stupid logical ideas. The idea of this couple, Claire and of course Owen, keeping Maisie as their daughter is fine. Keeping her hidden is fine, but it seems like it's so easy due to plot conveniences that she is captured really quickly. I mean, yeah, it takes place 4 years after that crap that was Fallen Kingdom, but the fact that they're really easily captured, the fact that they're really easily discovered by these poachers, who of course the one guy gets eaten, is absolutely just, I don't get it. I really don't. I just don't understand the logic and reasoning. I honestly think if you had thrown Owen and Claire out of the window and thrown that whole storyline out the window, I think it would have been a much better film. And then have like Ian and Alan and Ellie deal with the whole world. See, that's the problem here. This is where I'm rambling. This movie is supposed to be, once again, about the dinosaurs, about the idea of Maisie Lockwood releasing the dinosaurs, which I thought was a stupid idea to begin with. But if you're going to go that route, go that route. That's what people are having problems with. They created this idea that the dinosaurs need to escape and to expand upon the world and to put us in our place, as was the original idea with John Hammond in his Jurassic Park. What Ian Malcolm says is the idea of just this symbiotic nature that doesn't make any sense, and why would you do this? it's almost played for cheap thrills here. And then like I said, you see just like small snippets about, what happened in Isla Nublar with the volcano, which is really stupid. And you see, people being attacked, and that stuff's interesting. That stuff's fascinating. That's what I wanted out of this movie. What would it be like for, a bunch of raptors that attack a park, and like, how do you survive that and everything about that? But when you bring in Lewis Dodgson back into the mix, and you bring in this whole Biosyn storyline, and you bring back Henry Wu, BD Wong's character, who somehow is turned to a better person in this movie. And like, I'm thinking, this guy created Jurassic World. This guy is very, very evil now. He was a minor character in the original movie, but now he's just like evil scientist. And then on top of everything, you bring in his character, and he helps create these locusts. And he's now sad and upset by that because he found out that, Maisie Lockwood's mother, clone mother, she's the mother, and Maisie's a clone. That's what you want to focus on because you realize you made a mistake. I'm sorry, but Wu's character is an absolutely stupid trope. It really is. It doesn't make any sense. And you can see exactly what they're doing. They're trying to recorrect what they made a mistake of in Fallen Kingdom, with the whole idea of Maisie Lockwood is not, she's a clone like Beta is to Blue, but the idea that, Lockwood, the James Cromwell character, didn't create Maisie Lockwood. She was actually born in her, I don't know, her other self, her real self, is just absolutely stupid storytelling, to be fairly honest. It doesn't make any sense. It feels like you're trying to recorrect something that you kind of effed up, to be fairly honest. And it's just, I don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand why this movie was even created, why it was. I don't understand why Colin Trevorrow was brought back. It's the same problem that Rise of Skywalker had, where the idea was interesting in the first movie, though it was a rehash. And then the second movie, at least in Last Jedi, at least had tried something different. But the Rise of Skywalker is trying, like this movie, is trying to recorrect itself, kind of position itself, and it doesn't even do that successfully. And then on top of that, you're bringing back Ian Malcolm and Alan Grant and Ellie Sadler, and they're hamstrung to this Biosyn storyline, and they don't even meet Owen and Claire until the last portion of the movie, which is like 30 minutes till the end of the movie. And I felt that these two characters had really interesting things that they could have done, but they're more just there to, like, get this Locust story pushed forward and, break into Biosyn. And, Ian Malcolm, who somehow got hired to work for Biosyn, is now a turncoat. And there's a character played by Mamadou Athie who plays Ramsey, who is all of a sudden seeing the bad things that they're doing, and he's just there for the science. And I'm sorry, but Ian Malcolm would never work for a company like this. I don't care if he's a turncoat or not, like Ramsey is. It just isn't in his nature to do something like this. This is completely defying logic of what Jurassic Park did. And it's the same thing with Alan Grant. Alan Grant has gone back to, he had the Jurassic Park incident as everyone else did. And of course the Jurassic Park 3 incident where he went back to the island to rescue that kid. And I don't see him ever wanting to do this again. I really don't care if he's in love, as we see at the end of this movie, he's in love with Ellie Sadler, as he's always been. But that's another forced thing. Ellie Sadler is just kind of an idiot in this movie. I don't really like her character at all. It's another forced trope that just doesn't make any sense. And it also goes into the simple fact that there was tension there and love and so on and so forth with the characters, and they had to break the story of Ellie Sadler's husband now no longer being together and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's really weird. And then you go to Malta and you have to deal with like the raptors that are somehow trained with the signals, and you have the the woman who's the dealer similar to like Mission Impossible and stuff like that. And then everything is just like the whole stuff in Malta is fine. The underground stuff's fine. The poacher guy gets killed, and the Velociraptor chase is fine. It's entertaining. It's very by the book standard and all that garbage. And then you bring in this pilot who is being paid to basically transport dinosaurs, and all of a sudden she's just out of the niceness of her heart, she's going to go to Biosyn, and they have a ADS system which keeps the pterodactyls under bay, and her logic and reasoning doesn't make any sense, and just this whole concept. And Like I said, I'm just going into all these details because there's nothing about this movie that makes any sense whatsoever. And then they finally, everybody basically converges on Biosyn, and like Lewis Dodgson is the worst, Tim Cook slash Steve Jobs villain that you've ever seen, or Bill Gates or whatever. And he eventually gets, well, I'll get to that in a second, but he's doing this to make money, and that's fine. That's what evil corporations do in movies, but it's the same thing over and over and over. I really feel Dodson was an interesting character in the first movie because he was very smallly done, and he had Nedry and stuff like that, and it didn't really work out for him. And here he's like a head of a corporation, and everything's just like crazy and bonkers. They have a reserve that's under secret things. They have an underground lab. We see all the locusts, which somehow get loose. We see, of course, Alan Grant, Ellie Sadler, and the young kid, Maisie, go into a cavern and get attacked there. And all of a sudden, Ian Malcolm's able to escape, or able to get him out, thanks to Ramsey. And then they have somehow, crash a car and land right in front of Claire and Owen. And that's when everybody groups together. And it's bad. It really is. And the worst offense in this movie is Lewis Dodson's character. One thing that really bothers me about this movie is it not only does it take the logic out the window, but it adds some callbacks and nostalgia to Lewis Dodson's character that was very much Nedry's character in the original movie. Where the hell did he get the Barbasol can from? There is no way that can had, unless they had like 6 cans or something like that. I don't know. But Lewis Dodson has the Barbasol can, which he was never given back by Nedry unless they found some other person, maybe Henry Wu's character maybe. But they have the Barbasol can. The one can that Nedry had fell in the mud. It was completely dissolved. So this may have been just a can that he had. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But he's trying to escape to get to the heliport, to get to the helicopter. He's in that tube, which breaks down when, Alan Grant, Ellie, and all of the tube get into try back to the airport. And when they shut down the system to reboot it, to get the ADS system, like the main cast, his tube stops, so he's going to go through the tunnel. So we've seen the Dilophosaurus try to attack Claire's character, and of course Owen somehow knows to grab him by the neck and throw him, and they run away. How the hell did they get in that tunnel? Where did they get in that tunnel? I'm asking you, if you know the answer to that question, please answer me in the comments below. This is straight out a cheap nostalgic point, a cheap callback. It is poor storytelling. It has problematic material when it comes to logic and reasoning. But not only, okay, so let's say they find their way into the Dilophosauruses, and we have Dodson, who was mainly focused with Nedry, and Nedry was killed by Dilophosauruses. So the Dilophosauruses somehow get into the tube. He's able to escape back into the pod, I guess you could say. I can understand the one Dilophosaurus popping through the window. How the hell did the other two get in there? They're not that slim of dinosaurs. There is no way they got in there that easily. The main pod door is not open. So let's say they're like velociraptors and they can open up doors. They have the little pod or little thing that they wear to security clearance and stuff like that. There's just no way this happens. This is what you would call the worst offender when it comes to callbacks. And of course they spit their goo all over, the black stuff that they spit on Nedry. They did it to Lewis Dodgson. And it's just a really bad callback to what happened to Nedry. It's fine if you were like outside and this happened. I wouldn't be as offended by it. But when you do it when Steven Spielberg did it so well, and you're just like the cheap knockoff of Steven Spielberg and is what you're doing, you're just not doing it well. It's really bad. It really is. And so Lewis Dodgson dies, and then you have the main cast, and they are superheroes. They do not die. They are able to escape. Of course, the dinos are brought into the compound, and like I said, the T-Rex is able to kill off, even though the T-Rex looks like it dies, is able to kill off the other apex predator. That got the biggest pop in the movie because the T-Rex is one of the biggest, most famous characters in that entire series. But it leads to, of course, Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler finally having a relationship. They finally kiss. Ian Malcolm is doing his thing with Ramsey. The pilot, of course, gets her own plane back, and it leads to Ian Malcolm, Ellie Sattler, Alan Grant, and Ramsey going to, of course, the Senate to talk about what's happening, which we never see. And then, of course, it sees Beta go back to Blue. It sees Owen Grady, Claire, and Maisie go back to the farm. Which, the whole idea of Blue and the respect thing, it's always been a weird thing for me to be perfectly honest. But then we get Maisie's character, and she talks about the evolution of how we're gonna eventually have to live with everyone and stuff or live with all the dinosaurs in some kind of harmony. And we see the creature, the dinosaurs, and with different actual living creatures and stuff like that, which is cool. It's fine. And then it ends, of course, with the credits and stuff like that. But the thing that really, once again, makes this movie really infuriating is the fact that it's a mutant locust story. It's about famine. It's about a world that can be thrown into chaos, as Ellie Sattler says, in 3 meals. Is not even about the dinosaurs in the world that is Jurassic World Dominion. They are kind of an afterthought. And that's the way it's always been with this series, especially these 3 movies. It doesn't feel like the original movie at all. It feels like a creature feature with some dinosaurs that are not well put together when it comes to CGI, to be fairly honest. It just becomes bland, boring material. It really does. It doesn't have any life to it. It doesn't feel logical. It's given us a story that is so misleading that the trailers are almost offensive if you think about it. If you didn't watch the trailers, good on you, because you're off to a better start than the rest of us are. But I just don't get it. I really don't. Colin Trevorrow is better than this. At least I thought he was. Safety Not Guaranteed is a good movie. His co-writing partner, Derek Conley, and I think this is Erica Carmichael or whoever, I think that's her name, co-wrote the screenplay. But I think as a director, I think Trevorrow has gotten better at shooting things and CGI. But him and his partners that are writing this movie do not know what they're doing. They have terrible storytelling elements, and it's just a movie that really is not justifiable as an ending capper to a series. It's like, once again, like Rise of Skywalker. It has no purpose being the ending capper to any series at all. Especially when you do a stories about mutant locusts. That hurts my brain to think about. And like I said, I've been going and rambling about this movie in a spoiler discussion, but you have to understand, when you go into an ending capper, you want something big, you want something entertaining, you want something that will make you jump up in the Return of the King style, and just make you jump up and go, yes, this is an awesome way to finish this movie. But when you go out and whimper like this, and you ruin legacy characters, and you ruin the Jurassic series, which was already ruined pretty much by Fallen Kingdom, I can't forgive that. I really can't. As a fanatic when it comes to movie watching, and the idea of Jurassic and the world being haunted by dinosaurs that are both deadly and beautiful to look at, you're really just kind of collapsing the whole idea of what movie making is. It's interesting when you watch something like Top Gun Maverick, and then you watch something like Jurassic World Dominion, and you just go and look at it, and you're like, Top Gun Maverick is what a legacy movie should be, and Jurassic World Dominion is a movie with legacy characters that are shadows of their former self. So it's unfortunate. I do think the movie is beautiful to look at. I think that, like I said, the dinosaurs aren't great when it comes to CGI. Some of the set pieces do have moments of tension, but I think overall, when it comes down to it, the characters are just poorly written. It's poorly directed, and it's an unfortunate disaster of a movie. So it's not as bad as Fallen Kingdom, but it's pretty close. But that's why I have to rant about this movie. I had to talk about it in a spoiler sense, because if I don't, I will scream into the ether and probably explode from pain and that of watching this movie. So anyways, with that said, that is going to be my spoiler discussion / ending explains for Jurassic World Dominion. I'm sorry if I was really rambling and negative, but it's a movie with a lot of things and moving parts. It's 2.5 hours long, which it should never have been. And I don't think this is going to be a crowd pleaser. I think it's going to have some moments, but I think a lot of people are not going to like this movie, and I'm one of them. So anyways, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Comments below, what did you think of the movie? Is there anything that you want to talk about? Let me know. With that said, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like the video, awesome, hit that like button, and as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.